Hi, and welcome to another video on the Targeted Individual Program. In this video, I will be talking about the technology called remote neural monitoring. So, as a target, you know that your mind is being read, that thoughts, words, numbers are being implanted in your mind. Sometimes when you're outside and you experience what is called street theater, that street theater is set up so that your brainwave pattern or signal can be read using remote neural monitoring technology. So, as I said, as a TI, you know that your mind can be read by technology. There are people out there who may say, no way, the government can read my mind. Well, all I can say to you is look at documentaries such as 60 Minutes, look at Real News, you look at the BBC, the British Broadcasting News Agency, and you will find multiple videos where they show you that computer chips implanted inside a human brain can be read by a computer. Now, this is the private sector, so they have nothing on what the government has. The government is at least 15 to 20 years ahead in terms of technological advancement as compared to the private sector. And a lot of these technologies are for mind control purposes. They have been researching mind control technologies since the 40s. You have victims of these crimes who claim to be microchipped. Okay, if you remember, a couple years ago, there were a company called Verichip that had developed an RFID chip. A lot of targets claim that they have been injected with such chips. I myself have experienced this remote neural monitoring technology in terms of my targeting. If I'm thinking something and I go outside, a person will walk by and say what I was thinking. Could be a person I was thinking about. I could be thinking of, I want to go to a restaurant, and when I get to the restaurant, they would be a person standing outside the restaurant giving me the thumbs up sign. And this is being done on a continuous basis. So basically, they're trying to drill into my mind that they can basically predict or read where I'm going. So as a target, this is what you experience, and it is called remote neural monitoring. It is used for mind control purpose or to make you very paranoid. Okay, so what is remote neural monitoring? I'm just going to read from mindpowerworld.com, which give you a kind of explanation of what it is. Okay, so remote neural monitoring is a way to measure the EMF or electromagnetic frequency waves of an individual and are able to translate them into the words heard or spoken and the images seen by that individual. Labeled on the Signal Intelligence Department, remote neural monitoring is a technology that has been around and used for quite some time and has been kept secret from the public along with all other developments of electronic weaponry, research and development paid for by the taxpayers. It may seem a bit of a stretch to consider that it is possible for technology to read our minds and that this technology could be kept from the public. There is a lawsuit against the NSA claiming remote neural monitoring and manipulation. So how does the technology work? Well, Remote neuromonitoring focus on the auditory and visual portion of the brain by sending signals which are then transmitted back to the origin and analyzed by a computer, while the decoding and encoding of the brain signal for surreptitious communication with someone's brain is certainly a complex feat. There is much that can be done with a remote vantage using this technology. The technology can measure sound that the individual hears, can transmit its own words and images into the brain, and can manipulate emotions and behavior. Now, as a target, sometimes you have to be very careful of what comes out of your mouth, because they can inject words or phrases or commands into your mind, your own mind. And you would think that, okay, that's just me. You wouldn't think anything of it. I just said something. But what you don't know is that they can make you say a complete sentence. Okay? Whatever it is they want you to say, they can make you say it. So that's why you have to be very careful as a target in what you say and what you're thinking, because what you're thinking might not be your own thoughts. This is how the technology works. Okay? So there have been various studies on this. IBM did a study on this. They did it with prisoners. Okay, all of this is documented. All right, and it talks about the paranoia that is brought on by the use of this technology, that people exhibit schizophrenic type of behavior, paranoid type of behavior, because this technology is being used on them. So don't be fooled when people say, well, your mind can't be read. Okay, because that is what they want you to believe. That is what the government put out there to discredit anyone from talking about remote neuromonitoring technology. So if they can say, well, okay, if anybody talks about this, you should label them with a mental illness, what that does is that it discredits anyone or everyone who have been put in these programs, these experimental programs, or these covert psychological operations, or PSYOPs, okay, from really making a case against the government of the use of these technology. Do not be fooled by this. Okay? What you're experiencing is being done to you by the government. There are people out there who may try to convince you otherwise. They may say, well, this is private entities. Well, where did they get these weapons from? And we all know a lot of universities, a lot of tech companies who have contracts with the government for research and development. So either way, it is the government. Okay? They are using these technologies on targeted individuals for whatever reason. So as a target, put your testimony out there of what is being done to you. Okay, even if people consider you crazy, even if you're diagnosed with a mental illness, it doesn't matter, because that is just set up to discredit you. But you have to remain grounded, remain in your truth. Use your experience in this program to help other targets so that they don't fall into the traps, they don't fall for the trickery, the psychological manipulation, that they can defend themselves. And they may not be, even I sometimes get caught up in the psychological aspect of my targeting. Okay? Because it is a 24/7, 365 days a year, repetitive, negative programming that is being done because they want you to think negative. They want you to act and behave negative. That way, it basically reiterate the label that they give you. Okay? So they do this to continue the false diagnosis. And if you don't know what's being done to you, you have no defense against it. So again, look, they are able to read your mind. Let them read your mind. There's nothing you can do. You go on some of these talk shows that talk about shielding. Shielding is very expensive. And as a target, you know that you're limited, or sometimes you have no financial resource because that has been taken away from you. Whether through job mobbing or through being blacklisted, as I was and is. So, the only way that you can protect yourself really is just learn about the PSYOPs program, learn about mind control, learn about the technology being used against you. Okay? So that's what I'm going to say for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope the video has been helpful to those who are targeted. For those who are not targeted and are watching this video, be aware that a lot of these technologies exist. You just don't know about them because they're hidden from the public. And the government is very smart and very good at what they do. Okay? When they want to test these weapons out on human beings, okay, the easiest way for them to get away with it is to have that individual labeled as being mentally ill. Because in this society, mentally ill people it's a stigma to them, as well as a discrediting tool to keep them isolated, to silence them. So just be mindful of that. Remember that it can happen to you. It can happen to your sons, your daughters, your brothers, your aunts, your uncles, your friends. Okay? So don't look at target individuals as being some type of societal outcast. Okay? Just remember that when the day will come when you will realize what's being done, and it might be too late for you.